I was went inside the movement original, stolen up movement original. Right.
Before the We the Best chants, before the flashy album covers and endless name drops, DJ Khaled was just a kid named Khaled Muhammad Khaled.
Another one, another one, another one.
Born in 1975 in New Orleans to Palestinian parents who had nothing but $20 in a dream. They sold clothes out of a van at flea markets, eventually hustling their way into a small mall shop, a place young Khaled would sleep at while his parents worked around the clock. He says if he wanted to spend time with them, it meant working alongside them. That grind built the relentless work ethic that would later fuel his music hustle. But when Khaled's dad got hit with a bad audit, the family lost everything.
When he's 11 years old, he started, every time he sit down at the table, Khaled, come and eat. He loved to scratch. He said, Mom, I need to buy an amplifier or a music thing. He started scratching and the whole neighbor got crazy, noise. I said, let me do something. I turned the garage to the studio. And he started DJ, going to party in hotels.
His parents moved back to New Orleans, but Khaled stayed in Florida chasing music, convinced he could take care of them through DJing. At 13, Khaled was already mixing records in his garage. A janky setup with turntables, a drum machine, and stacks of vinyl from legends like the Isley Brothers and Sam Cooke. His family didn't fully get what he was doing, but they didn't stop him. When money got tight, Khaled bounced between Florida and New Orleans, taking a job at Odyssey Records, a staple in the city's growing hip-hop scene. This wasn't just a record store. Run DMC, Cash Money Records, and No Limit all touched that spot. Khaled wasn't just stocking shelves either. He DJ'd in-store events. And one day he saw an 11-year-old Lil Wayne meet Birdman for the first time, a link-up that would change rap forever. Wayne would even bring his middle school friends to the store just so Khaled could prove he really was a Cash Money artist.
Pull out his trunk a bunch of tapes, and he would come drop them off on the counter, and I would have to report them in to your man Gary that used to own Odyssey. As soon as he dropped them off, I would call them like an hour later and be like, yo, everything's gone, sold out. All the record companies used to call. This before, I guess, he had his deal, and the record companies used to call the record store, and I would pick up and be like, yo, is it really true that y'all selling that many tapes and CDs? I'm like, oh, nah, this shit real.
But Khaled's time at Odyssey ended in classic Khaled fashion. Caught using the store's phone to cold call record labels in New York, feet up on the boss's desk while on the clock. Fired and broke, he took what little money he had and flew back to Florida, sleeping in motels, his girlfriend's car, or anywhere he could. Miami's radio scene was hotter than New Orleans, so Khaled hustled to get on air. Eventually, producers Kool and Dre gave him a shot on their pirate radio slot while they left town. By the time they came back 9 months later, Khaled had taken over the city's airwaves. This was the birth of the loud, high-energy Khaled persona, the dude who would scream over tracks, drop wild catchphrases, and blend dancehall with hip-hop in a way Miami had never heard. Luther Campbell from 2 Live Crew spotted his energy at a party and brought him onto 99 Jams for the Luke Show.
I was there when Lil Wayne met Birdman. So Wayne, I'm just trying to show you how I work with the biggest. I've known them for so long. We all came up. Majority of the biggest artists that we all love out here, I came up with them at that time. So when you see a Ross or a Wayne or a Future, I remember meeting Future before Future was Future. The beginning of my career, yeah, I was around all the greats, but they were becoming the greats.
The bosses thought he was too loud, but Campbell told them, if Khaled goes, I go. With coaching to scream with the audience, not at them, Khaled became a Miami radio force, breaking new records for rappers and earning the trust of industry heavyweights like Fat Joe. By 2005, Khaled wanted more than just radio clout. Despite Kool and Dre telling him nobody wanted a mixtape from him, he dropped This Ain't a Movie Dog, packed with features from Jadakiss, Fabulous, Fat Joe, and more. It wasn't just random yelling either. Khaled actually sequenced tracks and premiered exclusives, even debuting Fat Joe's 50-cent diss, F******50. That loyalty to Fat Joe got him wrapped up in the G-Unit beef, refusing to shake Tony Yayo's hand when he came to 99 Jams, and eventually catching heat from 50 himself.
The day I met Baby and Slim, Friday the 13th, 1993, it was a Cash Money Records autograph signer at a record store called Odyssey Records in my hood. They also had a rapper on their label from my hood by the name of Lil Slim. Lil Slim had heard me rapping, so he told me that he would tell them about me. When I got to the autograph signing, he was like, yo, Baby and Slim, this the dude I told y'all about. I was like 11 years old.
Khaled then dabbled in producing, landing beats on Fat Joe's All or Nothing album under the name Beat Novocaine. But his real breakthrough came in 2006 with his debut album Listen, the album under Terror Squad. Right out the gate, he loaded it with features: Kanye, Rick Ross, John Legend, Lil Wayne, and scored hits like Grammy Family and Holla at Me. From there, Khaled mastered the executive producer role, finding a beat, dreaming up a concept, and pulling together the right mix of artists. Hits like We Taking Over, I'm So Hood, and All I Do Is Win were built from scratch with that formula, sometimes even locking artists like T-Pain in the studio until they nailed the hook. By 2010, Khaled had come full circle, officially signing with Cash Money, the same label whose CDs he once stocked in New Orleans.
Well, you giving DJ Khaled a 5, and then what does he do?
DJ Khaled, look at my hand. DJ Khaled, get out of here.
Nah, I can't believe it.
So I'm like, yo, Khaled.
And just like Lil Wayne had his go-to hook man in Drake, Khaled tapped into that same magic. His 2011 hit, I'm on One, started as a Drake song for Thought Carter IV, but ended up as Khaled's biggest single, with Ross and Wayne added to the mix. The only problem? It was basically gifted to him. That became the new formula. Instead of building records from the ground up, Khaled started taking throwaway Drake tracks, adding a feature or two and calling them his own.
I see him at the BET Awards. That's funny. I remember seeing Khaled. Y'all got this little poem I wrote for DJ Khaled. It's called I Just Want to Tell You What a Psychic Told Me. Your car tires got stabbed out. Now you know, I know where you be. I just want to tell you what a psychic told me. I know where your mama house at. Now look, you can see. But I just want to tell you what a psychic told me. I know where your mama work at. Now look at her, sleep.
For a while, it worked. He scored with Take It to the Head and No New Friends, but the lineups got predictable. Drake on the hook, Ross and Wayne on verses, and sales began to slip. Other producers like Metro Boomin, Mustard, and London on the track took Khaled's blueprint but actually made their own beats with signature sounds and stronger projects. By the mid-2010s, Khaled's musical hustle was slowing down, his formula was stale, and even Rick Ross was calling out Birdman for allegedly not paying Khaled what he was owed. Rumors swirled that he was broke. But Khaled still had one thing nobody else did, a wild, magnetic personality. And that's when he stumbled into his biggest career reinvention yet, Snapchat superstardom. By 2015, Khaled's music formula was fading, but his larger-than-life personality was about to blow up in a whole new lane. With extra time on his hands after leaving Cash Money, he started documenting his daily life on Snapchat, not for music, but just living. Jet ski rides gone wrong, endless plates of food, gardening tips, motivational quotes, and his now iconic major key catchphrases. Fans tuned in daily, not for songs, but for the comedy of watching Khaled be Khaled. He became the most followed person on Snapchat, low-key saving the app before Instagram and TikTok influencers took over. The beauty was it didn't feel forced. At first, his goofy charm, constant positivity, and bizarre routines were fresh. Brands noticed. Suddenly, Khaled was everywhere. Late-night talk shows, award stages, sports events, commercials. And with that new audience came new leverage in the music game. Signing with Jay-Z's Rock Nation, he went back to doing what worked, stacking star-studded tracks. I Got the Keys with Jay and Future felt like a victory lap, even if it didn't age perfectly. For Free with Drake was another easy win. Then came the record, I'm the One, in 2017 with Justin Bieber, Quavo, Chance the Rapper, and Lil Wayne. It went diamond, hit #1 on Billboard, and cemented Khaled's spot in mainstream pop culture. The same year, Wild Thoughts, a Rihanna and Bryson Tiller flip of the Santana classic written by Party Next Door, kept his momentum going. But behind the scenes, his reliance on Drake's leftovers was becoming obvious. Songs like To the Max, Grease, and Popstar didn't have Khaled's fingerprints on them. They were just unreleased Drake tracks, barely altered, with Khaled yelling over the intro. The problem? When you strip Khaled out of those records, nothing changes. Drake didn't reference him, the beats weren't his, and the concepts weren't his. Even DJ Academics, another DJ more famous for talking than spinning, started drawing comparisons between himself and Khaled, except Ak was dominating YouTube while Khaled leaned on other people's work. Meanwhile, producers like Metro Boomin and Mustard were building cohesive projects with signature sounds, making Khaled look like a middleman, not a mastermind. In 2019, Khaled dropped Father of Assad, a make-or-break project announced over a year earlier with huge singles featuring Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Justin Bieber, and more. On paper, it should have been unstoppable. In reality, it ran into a brick wall named Tyler, the Creator. Tyler's album Igor dropped the same week, and despite Khaled's 20-plus features, energy drink bundle gimmicks, and long rollout, Igor took #1. Billboard disqualified Khaled's bundle sales, and he allegedly stormed into his label's office, furious. Publicly, Khaled went on Snapchat to throw subliminal shots about making music you can hear everywhere, a clear jab at Tyler's more experimental style. Tyler kept it classy, letting his chart win speak, but the damage was done. Khaled's positive image cracked. People saw the switch from smiling motivator to bitter sore loser, and the whole good vibes only persona started to look fake. Then came another hit to his reputation, this time from the feds. Khaled and Floyd Mayweather were fined by the SEC for promoting a shady crypto company called Centratech without disclosing they were paid to do so. Khaled had to cough up over $150K and got banned from promoting securities for 2 years. Now, the narrative wasn't just Khaled is lazy musically. It was Khaled will shill anything for a check. Still, he doubled down on what worked before. Musically, that meant begging Drake for songs. Socially, it meant leaning into the goofy caricature people loved in 2016, but now amping it up to absurd levels. Random nonsense catchphrases, over-the-top antics, but instead of feeling organic, it started to look like a guy playing himself for clout. Then in 2023, the world shifted. The war between Israel and Palestine erupted on a scale not seen in decades. Khaled's Palestinian heritage and family ties put him in a unique position. He had the reach to speak on it, the platform to push for peace. And in the past, he'd proudly talked about being Palestinian American. But as the conflict raged, Khaled said nothing. Not one post, not one statement. Fans noticed. So did his own cousin, who said the silence strained their relationship. DJ Vlad even called it out, pointing out that both Khaled, the most famous Palestinian in pop culture, and Drake, the most famous Jewish rapper, were staying quiet. The timing couldn't have been worse. His 2022 album God Did had expensive samples, huge features, and still failed to deliver a real hit, meaning he needed another banger to stay relevant. Instead, his Instagram comments were flooded with people demanding he speak until he finally disabled them altogether. On top of that, the rap world was in its own war. Kendrick Lamar baited Drake and J. Cole into a lyrical civil war that split the industry. Future, Metro Boomin, Rick Ross, and others sided against Drake, and Khaled, silent again, despite Drake being his biggest hit supplier for over a decade. With Drake suing UMG, one of Khaled's own label ties, and tensions high, Khaled played neutral. But in this game, neutrality can look a lot like betrayal. By late 2023, Khaled's playbook was clear. When in doubt, get a Drake record. But after staying silent during both the Middle East War and the Drake versus Kendrick industry war, that well was drying up fast. The rap game saw him as a fence sitter, and Drake, his golden goose, had bigger problems than handing Khaled another throwaway. The beef had gotten ugly. Future and Metro Boomin dropped an album full of subliminals. Rick Ross released a full-on diss. Even The Weeknd and $1 AP Rocky were firing shots. Drake was in the middle of lawsuits, PR hits, and betrayal from within his own circle. The last thing he needed was a DJ Khaled single. Still, Khaled wasn't ready to admit the plug had been pulled. In mid-2024, he started hyping 2 exclusive Drake songs for his next album. He even walked Drake out on stage at a show, holding up a sign saying exactly that. The problem? By 2025, Drake had openly distanced himself from people tied to UMG and Roc Nation, the same 2 machines Khaled was working under. That connection made Khaled look like an op by association. When Khaled finally announced the album, he went full Hollywood. A 7-minute high-budget movie trailer dropped, with Mark Wahlberg playing the villain trying to steal a briefcase containing Khaled's album files. Inside, the 2 Drake songs. The trailer had car chases, rooftop stunts, Anthony Ramos holding Khaled at gunpoint in a Jamaican restaurant, and a dramatic escape onto a private jet. As a sample of the God Drake track played, Khaled looked Ramos dead in the eye and said, "You hear that? That's God." The message was obvious. Khaled was calling Drake a deity. The stunt might have worked if Drake was in on it. But when Khaled posted the trailer on Instagram, he forgot to block Rihanna from commenting. Her response, "Drake songs must be Drake Bell." a brutal public reminder that not everyone believes Khaled actually has those tracks, and maybe even that Drake isn't rocking with him at all. Here's the reality. The same way Khaled once overplayed the Rick Ross/Wayne/Drake lineup until it went stale, he's now milked the Drake throwaway formula until the cows dry. Without Drake's cosign, Khaled doesn't have the music credibility to anchor an album, and without his positive guy persona, he doesn't have the fan trust to sell one-off image alone. He's lost the streets, the critics, and even a chunk of the casuals who once tuned in just for the antics. Worse, his silence on the Palestine conflict, a cause tied to his own bloodline, still hangs over him. The public backlash never fully cooled, and the Drake-Kendrick war put him in the awkward position of being tied to both the losing side, Drake, and the corporate side, UMG Rock Nation, that played a role in the fallout. He's managed to alienate both the people and the players who could have helped him bounce back. Now Khaled's at the most dangerous point of his career. If the Drake songs aren't real, he's setting himself up for an embarrassing flop. If they are real but mid, the internet will shred him for overhyping throwaways again. And if Drake's name isn't attached to the project at all, the buzz dies instantly. There's no plan B, no other consistent hitmaker in his circle. The era of Khaled being a curator might be over, replaced by the reality that he's been a middleman with a megaphone, and the megaphone's batteries are dying. The crazy part? Khaled's downfall isn't from lack of talent, it's from refusing to evolve. In the beginning, he was a genuine DJ grinding in clubs, on radio, and in the mixtape scene. He could spot a hit and bring the right people together, but once he leaned too heavy on other artists' leftovers, the skill faded. Once he leaned too heavy on the good vibes gimmick, the authenticity faded. And when it came time to stand for something real, he didn't, and the respect faded. This next album will be a make or break moment. If it flops, he'll be remembered less for the hits and more for the hype. If it hits, it could be his last big run before the curtain falls. Either way, DJ Khaled is walking into his riskiest rollout ever with the two things that built him, Drake's music and the public's goodwill, hanging by a thread. So the question now is simple. Can Khaled really give us another one, or is this the one that finally breaks him? If you rocked with this breakdown, make sure you subscribe, share, like, and drop a comment. I want to know if you think Khaled can bounce back, or if the king of the major key is out of keys for good.